And welcome to today's webinar, How to Collaborate Using Revu for Desktop and Bluebeam's Cloud by Utilizing Sessions. This webinar is brought to you by Applied Software Graitec Group. My name is Missy Scott, and I am pleased to be your moderator today. As a reminder, you can find a schedule of upcoming events, webinars, and training on our calendar at asti.com/calendar. Very pleased to introduce our speaker today, Rick Kremer. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. He is a certified Bluebeam instructor at Applied Software Graitec with years of experience in the field. He is a featured presenter at Bluebeam's XCon, the monthly host of Bluebeam webinars and office hours, and a strong advocate for Bluebeam and AEC integration. We've got lots of stuff you'll probably be adding to your resume pretty soon, so we're going to add some stuff pretty soon to this in the future. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Rick.
Well, I'd rather be no other place than right here with you all on this webinar. So thank you all for joining. And, before we get started, if you haven't done any of these webinars with us, you'll know that they're fun, they're interactive, and you always learn something. And, Misty, I wanted to do something. I wanted to break the ice with everyone. Misty and I were just talking about things that happen to you as a child growing up. You break bones, you scratch yourself, you do silly things. Well, I got a story for you because we were talking, Misty and I, about, our cameras, and sometimes they show things that you don't want to see. Well, when I was a kid, you can't see it, but I got a scar right here between my eyes, and I had stitches because when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I want to be really, really cool and show off at the dance in middle school and spin. So I was practicing at home and I spun, and then I got dizzy and I fell on a speaker. If you remember back in the day, everyone had these wood speakers, the big ones. Well, I hit myself right here and I got stitches right between my eyes. It was so funny. And the reason why I bring this up, my friend and coworker over here, Misty, had a similar thing. She was just saying to me, she's like, hey, this new camera, I don't know if you see it. I hate to point it out, right? It's right there.
Yeah.
It's a
It
scar.
usually doesn't show. Yeah, it's a scar. So I'm going to tell them the story so they can see why we're making a big deal about it. It's kind of crazy. Rick didn't tell me this before, so now I'm totally connecting the dots. But so when I was younger, I was in my bedroom twirling around, spinning around, dancing to Madonna with balloons, and I fell over and hit my head on the dresser, and that's where this scar comes from. It usually doesn't show, but I've been on vacation, so now it's like, I guess it's just more apparent now. So that's right. So we're twinsing, Rick.
We're twinsies, right? And you thought this was just going to be folks online, a regular Bluebeam webinar. No, this is sharing. So, share if you want in the chat. What bodily harm have you done to yourself in your childhood?
I'm sure we will get some stories, you guys. I'd love to hear that. We really love spending time with y'all. So we will get back to the scheduled
program. Get back to that, but our regularly scheduled program, right?
All right. So I do have a fun trivia question for you guys today, all about the Olympics. We're seeing that everywhere. So which new sport has been introduced for the first time in the 2024 Paris Olympics? And actually their debut is tomorrow, which I don't know. Is it today now in Paris? I don't know how that works with the hours.
I don't know. It's
on the 9th. So is it skateboarding? Is it surfing, climbing, or breaking, aka breakdancing?
I'm going to guess breakdancing. And let's see, breaking. Stephanie, Timothy, breakdancing. D. I'm going with D too. And how about
that's like to ask your audience. You remember Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I don't know if that still exists or not, but I used to watch it all the time.
It could. I want to phone a friend. Or
Well, let's see if the audience was correct. You guys are correct.
Rebecca, Nick,
breakdancing. Yes.
You guys rock. Yeah. Wow.
Yep. And I didn't know it was so popular in France. So that was super cool. And they have regular breaking
Breaking,
competitions in Paris
but
suburbs
not,
and most of the cities.
yeah, not breaking stuff, not like breaking your head or stuff like that. That would have been a good segue,
I
knowing the
didn't even
trivia
connect that
question
till right
that,
now.
we break stuff. We broke our bodies. So, oh my goodness. All right.
Awesome.
Well, I'm excited. Hey, listen, let's get to it. I know you all are here. Your time is valuable, so let's get right to it. Before we begin, I want to inform you of some really big changes. It's all seriousness now. Bluebeam is having a huge change starting August 27th. Now, usually I don't have this much information on a slide, but I wanted you to be the first to know that Bluebeam will be phasing out cloud-based projects. Now, again, projects. We're going to be talking about sessions today, so we're safe. But Bluebeam, starting August 27th, which is just in a few weeks away, is going to no longer support cloud projects, not studio projects, but cloud-based projects. And if you're ever confused after this, please feel free to reach out to us and we can have a one-on-one conversation and I can explain in further detail what this means. But what this means is Bluebeam Cloud's projects under number one will be changing. You will no longer be able to start new cloud-based projects. Bluebeam Cloud, not Studio, but Bluebeam Cloud projects starting August 27th will no longer start. They're going to be phasing that out. Instead, they're going to be moving everything towards what is called cloud-based projects. Now, we don't know what that is yet, but starting August 27th, we should see something really new from Bluebeam on cloud-based projects. Now, we have cloud-based sessions, what we're going to talk about today, but starting August 27th, 2/27, there's no longer going to be there. So if you have a project, make sure to start migrating that information from a cloud-based project to a desktop project. Let's go to the next slide real quick. And so what do you have to do? Export your project. Find out more about it. Feel free to reach out to us, and I have a guide and information to show you how to take your information on a cloud-based project. That's Bluebeam Cloud, again, not studio projects, to take it offline. So, because they're going to start shutting that down August 27th, and we should see something new. We recommend that everyone use in the interim either Bluebeam projects on the studio, which I'll show shortly, and or studio sessions. Sessions isn't going away, so Bluebeam Studio Sessions, which we're going to be doing today, corresponds hand in hand with cloud-based sessions. So I'm excited to get into this. So again, big changes ahead. So what are we going to do today? 4 things, just 4 things. We're going to talk about Bluebeam Revu Desktop, how to use the desktop to start a studio session, then best practices in working with PDF files, navigating the iPad app, and then navigating the PC version through HTML. So are you ready? Let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen over here. Give me just a moment. And I'm going to share my screen. And again, if you guys have any questions, please put it in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them towards the end. I know you're seeing screen and screen and screen. So let's start off with desktop utilization. What you see here, and you guys see my screen, right? Revu, Bluebeam Revu,
We
Misty?
gotcha.
Awesome. All right. So first step is what is Bluebeam Revu on the desktop? So Revu on the desktop includes what's called Studio. And within Studio, you have what's called Sessions. We're not going to talk about projects today. That's a whole nother subject. Over here, Sessions, what exactly are Bluebeam Sessions? Bluebeam Sessions are the ability to store documents online where you can collaborate with hundreds of others. So let me give you an example. As a project architect, I want to do a kickoff meeting with all of my engineers. I will set up a Bluebeam session, and within that session, I'll upload PDFs. And any of those PDFs, I can invite participants to redline those drawings. And if they haven't joined, I will see them here in the not joined, like this individual over here. I'll say, hey, by the way, you haven't joined, and I'll send her a reminder. And this will go directly from Bluebeam, not from my Outlook, but through Bluebeam itself. So when you do send it, make sure to take a look in the other category in Microsoft Office if you're using Microsoft Office, not in the focused. I tend to find that out. Anyway, so when we start looking at drawings that are online, what does that mean? When we start to go through and take a look at these drawings, I'm going to open up one of these drawings over here. When I click on it, it quickly downloaded that file so I can collaborate. Well, how do we get to this point, right? How do we go through and create a studio session? Well, first thing that we need to do is open up a set of drawings, and let's talk about starting up a drawing in the right way for downstream use. When working on a set of drawings, in this case, I've opened up a sample drawings. In this page, in this particular option over here, I have 8 pages. In utilizing sessions, the best practices workflow is to take a single drawing like this that has multiple pages and break them up into individual sheets. You might be wondering why. When we're taking a look at these drawings and we're sharing them with others, if I leave this drawing set as 8 pages, one single file, and I share it with my friend Misty or my engineers, if someone opens them up, they have that opportunity to take a look at that single drawing and be on different pages. But if I have individual pages, it makes it easier downstream to do slip sheeting and work on these drawings. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a single file, multiple page like this right here, and I'm going to go through. Let me just clean this up a little because I was playing around, and I'm going to get rid of the comments that are on this set of drawings. And now what I'm going to do is start to go through and export these out so I have individual sheets. So how do I do that? In thumbnails over here, I'm just going to make them smaller. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of my drawings. So this is a workflow on setting up drawings in a session, is taking all these individual sheets. You don't have to, but this is a workflow that I really like doing, especially working in projects. It's important to have single sheets that you can check in and check out. In sessions, it really doesn't matter, but ultimately this type of drawings ends up going back into projects. Anyway, to take all of these files and split them out into individual sheets, I right-click on this and I'll click Extract Pages. So now what I'm going to do is extract each one of these pages as separate files. It's important that each one of the page labels have been created earlier, and if you need to know how to do that, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll show you how to do this. We also have it in other webinars as well. So I'm going to extract this out as a separate file and use page labels to name each one of these. So now I'll have 8 individual pages. I'm not going to open up the files after extractions, and I'll simply click OK. I'm going to say, where do I want to send this? And I'm going to put it right here in this directory. I'll hit Select Folder. Did you see how fast that was? Super, super fast. If I close this over here and don't save and open up my File Explorer, here are all of those individual sheets. I mean, that was super fast, right? So now I'm going to create a new session. To do that, I'm going to open up the Studio panel, go into Sessions over here and start a new session. That's it, and click New Sessions. That's how easy it is to start this process. And by the way, when starting sessions to share with everyone downstream using the iPad or any iOS or HTML-based browser like Chrome, you need to start this process on the desktop. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, give it today's date, 2024-08-08. Let's start. Right? And over here, what I'm going to do is now add the drawings. What this is going to do is upload all of these individual files. So I'm going to select them, hit open, and it brings them in. And then I'm going to have options. What do I want people, when they are invited to a session, what can they do? And I'm going to do everything except add documents. I'm also going to restrict attendees by email addresses. That way, only the people that I invite will be able to participate in this. And then I can also have it expire if I want, let's say at the end of next week. So this session will automatically close, and it'll document all the information that's been marked up and also inform everyone that's in the session, hey, by the way, this is going to close. So this is something that's automatically done. So you can have it expire or not. I'll hit OK. And now what it's doing is it's going through and uploading all of those drawings. Now, next, as it's going through and uploading, you see on the left-hand side, it's flashing, it's going through and adding those drawings pretty quickly. And now over here, I can add emails to invite individuals. The way that I like to do this is I will click type or paste emails. And one of the easiest ways to invite individuals is to start your Outlook. I'm going to go over here and add a new email. Let me just bring this over so you guys don't see any sensitive information. And I'm going to open up my Outlook. This is the easiest way to invite participants. In Bluebeam Review over here, we have a dialog box that we can add names manually. But why do that when we can use Outlook where I have all the people that I need to go through? And I'm just going to start typing in some people's names. I'm going to go over here and put information to different individuals and just go through and start adding people right over here like Misty. Then I'll select them all, do Control C, which copies their information to the clipboard, minimize it, click inside here and do Control V. Take a look at this mess, right? There's a bunch of gobbledygook. What Bluebeam will do is it'll go through and correlate all the information with domains. We'll click check and include emails, and there it goes. It went through and found all the individuals and the domain that each user belongs to. So typically that's per company. Let's say I don't want to send someone to this person over here. I can remove that person, which removes that whole domain. And in this case, if I want to remove one individual, not everyone from this domain, I can just select and remove that individual without having to remove everyone. At this point, I can just click invite participants. What this is going to do now is send an invitation to those attendees, and they'll receive email. So Misty, you're going to get an email from Bluebeam shortly to say, let's join this project, and you'll see that they haven't joined yet. So once they do, if they do, they'll show up under the join category. So what do we do now? At this point, this project is now live online. So again, what does this mean? We can start to go through and work on these drawings anywhere. So on the desktop, the individuals, all they have to do is download Bluebeam Review when they've been invited to a studio session. And here's the nice thing. They don't need to purchase Bluebeam Review in order to participate in a session. That's right. Users invited to a session just need to install Bluebeam Review. It'll work for the trial period. After the trial period, Bluebeam goes into a read-only mode. Afterwards, when they're invited to a session, those users can open up any of the drawings that are in a session, not on their desktop, but just in a session, and Bluebeam becomes fully activated with all the bells and whistles. So that's pretty cool. So this is how we start the project, right? So how do we go from here to the mobile platform? Well, for the mobile platform, I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to quickly minimize this and open up the cloud. So I'm going to go over here and bring over a browser. And I'm going to go to app.bluebeam.com. So now we're talking about, we talked about the best practices. Now we're moving towards how to work on this. I'm switching it up. Instead of the iOS, we're doing the web-based. Then we're going to finish it off with the iPad. But app.bluebeam.com is a way to get to Bluebeam Cloud. Again, this is going to work on any browser. So if you're using a Mac, a Linux machine, Chromebook, as long as you can get to the web and dial in app.bluebeam.com, you can sign in and start to work on Bluebeam Cloud projects and sessions. Right now, we're talking about sessions. So I'll click sign in. I'll put in my user information. You have to have a Bluebeam ID and password. And when I start to go through and sign in, we'll see a cloud-based application similar to Bluebeam on the desktop, but a slimmer version of it. We're going to focus on Studio Sessions, and over here, here's our project. So our session, I should say not project, but our session is here. So when we start to take a look at the files, here they are, all individually listed. When I start to go through, I can easily navigate to one sheet or the other. And to add a markup, it's really simple. See on the left-hand side, there's a handful of tools that I can use. And some of them, if you notice over here, Cloud, when I click on it, it has different options. So you'll see that these are kind of the ones that are built in. When I click, for example, on the callout, I click on this, I can do my typical Cloud Plus, and I'm going to write over here and say, please review roadway with civil, right? And I wrote civil. And I'll come over here and I'll add another comment over here, and I'll go to the second floor and add another comment. Need RCP electrical, whatever it is that we need to type in. Now, all of this information can be adjusted. I can move it and adjust it as necessary. So really, really cool. But one of the things that's really nice about this browser is it's HTML based, which means I can view this anywhere. But not only do I have my tools right here, I can do a markups list search. So when I click on markups over here, I can see all the information. This is what you would typically see in the desktop is your markups list. This is your markups list right here on the side. And if you have multiple markups on a sheet, you can do a search. So it'll identify, in this case, if I started typing RCP, it's going to pull this up instead of one of the other markups. So that's really, really nice. We can see that it is shared with other individuals. And we have certain tools over here that we can start to highlight information. So this is pretty easy, straightforward, very simple and easy to use. To return to a different session, we click this back arrow right here, and we can go to a different session. Now, what's nice about this is it automatically saves. So as long as I have internet connection, I can work anywhere. So when I'm working in a studio session, I can have individuals work on drawings out in the field, and I can see those changes live when I'm in the desktop, right? So that is really, really awesome. So let's talk about the iOS, right? So the iPad. I'm going to go through and start sharing my iPad, but before I do, I know I've been talking a while, but Misty, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes, we've got one. It says, if we're uploading individual sheets, is there a way to organize them within a session?
So if you're uploading individual sheets, so when you're uploading individual sheets, the way that they're organized is alphanumeric. And so you go through and these are individual sheets. If this was a single file, multiple page, then you would see this as .pdf. And then you could either do one page at a time or scroll multiple pages and have it scroll back and forth. So typically, let's say you have an arch set, MEP set, structure set. You could have those as individual PDFs and have an arch set, MEP set, PDF, multiple page. Again, I like using single sheets, but then again, if you're doing multiple disciplines, then maybe it makes sense to have single file, multiple page. Hope that answered your question and didn't make it more convoluted. So I'm going to go over here and sign out of this one, and I'm going to show you what this process is going to look like on an iPad. So the whole idea is utilizing Bluebeam Sessions is how you can document your information on the go. No matter if you're using an iPad or Android, doesn't matter, this information can be used. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sharing my iPad because that's what seems to be used most often out in the field. Plus, it's really super easy to use, and there's some features here that we have. So do you all see my iPad over here?
Yep, we see it.
Awesome. All right, so I've gone ahead and downloaded the Bluebeam Review app right here. You can find this free on the App Store. That is different than this review. This is review for iPad, which is $10. This is the cloud-based app, and I'm going to go ahead and launch that. When I do that, on the bottom right-hand corner over here, this is Bluebeam Studio Sessions. This is what's going away. By the way, on 227 is projects. So keep in mind, this is when I'm talking about studio projects on the cloud. This is what's going away is cloud projects. We're going to see something new. Can't wait to see what it is on the 27th, but I have a feeling it's going to be like the sessions. To get into a session, I simply tap on the session on my iPad, and then I can simply click over here on one of these. And I'm sorry, it's cutting out on the display. So when I go over here and click on Let's Start, it opens up my drawings, and then I can pick up right where I left off, and I can start to use the tools. And let's see if I switch my screen, it might be a little bit harder to see. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Nope, that seems to be as big as the iPad can get. It's an iPad mini. I'm sorry it's small, but you can see on the iPad over here, it's the same tools that we had online. So when I start to go through and use the iPad, what's nice about that is I can start to go through and place a call out or a Cloud Plus, and I'll window around this object over here, but this is where I really like using the iPad out in the field. If I have a set of drawings, I can use over here the voice to text. This is an iPad feature, right? So I'll click over here. Please provide enlarged plan on another sheet, without typing anything. So a lot of you that are taking your iPads out into the field and have a tough case on it, right? You don't have a keyboard, or maybe you're wearing gloves. You can't use that keyboard. Well, you can use voice to text to add that information, and there it is. To find out more information about this, if I want to add additional comments, I'll tap on it right here, click Edit. And when I tap on it over here, I'll see an overview. I can see who created it, but more importantly, I can add comments. So this is where we talk about a workflow of using the iOS app to convey information back and forth is using comments. And you'll see it even has a little send symbol right over here. And again, I'll say over here, please provide this information by Friday. And I hit the send button. Just like sending a text message, now this information is available on that comment. And when we start to take a look at the markups list back in Studio on the desktop, we'll see those comments. And then as someone responds, we'll see those comments live. So this is an excellent way to get information. Again, I have a lot of tools over here that I can start to use. I can mark up the drawing. I can even add photos. So if I go into a site condition, I can click on the picture and use my camera. Now, I'm not going to turn on my camera here. It's just a picture of the inside of my office. But imagine if you're doing a walkthrough with a set of drawings in a session. I can add the camera. You know what? Let's do it. I'm going to add the camera. Why not, right? Let's go over here. I'm going to add my camera, turn this on. There it is. There's my view. And I'm going to use that photo. That photo is now placed right there in the drawing. Now, imagine if this is a set of drawings where you're doing a punch list. You can start to go through and add this information here. And then when I'm done over here, all I have to do is click this button right here to close out of it. All that information is automatically saved. And when I go through, I'm just going to go ahead and close this, get back into the desktop. Let's bring this back over here, go back into review on the desktop, go back into the drawings. And when I go through and click on that document, there it is. Whoops, right there. How cool is that? And Misty, when we talk about connectivity and collaboration, it couldn't be easier using Bluebeam Sessions. I mean, really, this is the way of working on any document anywhere in the world. And sometimes I get questions of, well, let's say we're working in an environment, let's say a hospital that doesn't have Wi-Fi. Well, what I typically would recommend is to take your iPad or mobile device and then start to go through, whoops, and you can download the information to your device and then click a button to say work offline. And then when you get back into the Wi-Fi area of the job trailer or your car, use your phone as a hotspot, and then it'll send that information up to the cloud. Couldn't be any easier. And again, over here, I can see the response, please provide information by Friday. And if someone else was in this session, I can even alert them to this markup, and it'll send them an email notification saying, hey, you need to take a look at this punch list item. So this is really, really a game changer. And that's what I wanted to kind of share with you all. Really, those four things, again, as a quick recap: starting Bluebeam Sessions, start online, start by using Bluebeam Studio on your desktop. It connects online to Sessions. Upload your drawings, whether it's a single file or multiple file, and then it's going to be uploaded to Bluebeam Cloud Sessions. From there, the world's your oyster, right? You can start to invite everyone to a studio session right here through the desktop interface, and they can access that information on their iPad or Google Chromebook on an HTML browser, and they can see all that information live. So back to you in the studio.
Awesome, fantastic. I did
Ooh.
put on the screen a request for an opportunity to request a free trial for Bluebeam. So you can tap that right there on the screen and take advantage of that. I did want to ask you for your announcement at the beginning, is there any link or any PDF or resource page that we should send them to?
So, it's interesting. I reached out to Bluebeam and there isn't anything out there yet, which is crazy. So you're the first to know about this updated, this change. So keep posted August 27th for some changes that Bluebeam is going to be releasing. And again, feel free to send us an email at info@asti.com. Okay, and ask about the changes that are happening August 27th to Bluebeam. That's right, in the chat area right there, info@asti.com. And if you have any questions or want to talk to me, I'd be happy to get together one-on-one and answer any questions or concerns you may have. Again, this is a big game changer. Bluebeam is doing, again, away with studio sessions on the cloud, not on studio projects on the desktop. So I think we're going to see some exciting things, especially for those people that are on a mobile platform.
Fantastic. All right, so we don't have any questions as of it yet. I'll just allow a little bit of time, you guys, if you're thinking of anything that you're like, you know what, let me just ask this question. I mean, Rick is a certified expert on Bluebeam and everything. So if you've got a question that you're just like, you know what, I really want to ask this question, more than likely he's got the answer for you, or we'll find it. And I also want to put my email in the chat. If you guys think of any questions afterwards, you can reach out to me, as well as info@asti.com. I also really love when people send over to me ideas or topics for future webinars. I love it, because I know that I'm giving you guys what you need and what you're asking for. So if you ever want to send those over, you can send that over to me as well. We will make that happen. All right, so okay, we've got a question. Just to clarify, any consultant would be able to view and mark up files in a cloud session once it's set up, even if they don't pay for Bluebeam, but we set up the session and our office does.
Excellent question. And I'm so glad that you brought this up to answer and clarify. So you as the author, your office sets up that Bluebeam Studio session. We'll just call it Bluebeam Session through your review desktop. You have to have a paid account to start it up. All the people that are invited to it do not have to have a paid subscription to Bluebeam. All they have to do is download and install Bluebeam Review for the desktop. or use the HTML-based app.bluebeam.com or via the iPad app. What they do need is a Bluebeam ID, which is free to create on Bluebeam's website. When they're invited to a session, Tamsin, they'll receive an email notification that they've been invited to a session. And if they haven't created a Bluebeam ID, there'll be a link right there. It says, hey, download Bluebeam Review and or create a new account if you don't have one. So Nate asked a good question. Photos inserted in drawings during field walks, how easy to extract them to a separate folder at a later time? So that's a great question. So when we start talking about extracting those photos, typically what you can do is do a markup summary. So I'm not going to be able to get into that in this discussion, but I'd be happy to, Nate, if you want to reach out to us. I'd love to do a demo for you on that. But basically, all the photos that are brought into, let's say, your punch list or your RFIs can be created as part of your summary report in Bluebeam on the desktop. And just to kind of give a quick kind of glance at what that will look like, because I want everyone to see what this might look like, is back here in Bluebeam. When I start to go through and have all of my photos and my markups here, we have all of this information over here. And when I go through and create a summary report, that PDF summary report is going to be the way to extract that information and have it in an itemized object. So when we go over here and append everything, I'm going to have over here and do thumbnails large. And when I have that information, I'll click OK. And there is the information. And when we start to take a look, here it is right here. So it's included in the report that can be used. The nice thing about this is, if you think about it, it's not just extracting the photos. So actually, I just showed you how to do it. The information associated with that photo. So when we attach a photo, we can also attach a comment to it on a session. So as I take a photo, I can attach that information. Now, I just put the image by itself. If I go back, I can click on it and add comments to it. So the information will be a part of that report. So instead of just having exported list of all these photos, you're like, what does this have anything to do with? This will have information associated with it. Now, this information that's here can be customized. I just let everything be the default, so you can have as little or as much there. And if I had a comment, it would show up right over here. And you'll notice it even tagged the space that it was in. So that's really nice when you drop in a photo. If there are spaces that are included in your in your Bluebeam project, it'll recognize it. And so you'll have that information tagged per space. Excellent question.
Fantastic. All right. Well, again, if you guys think of anything, definitely reach out to us. I do want to thank you guys for joining us today. I hope it was meaningful, impactful for you and your businesses. Rick, as always, it has been a joy. It's so fun working with you and presenting with you. And we do look forward to seeing you all on future webinars. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe. Love you guys.